Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. Today we're going to talk about resolution and how it pertains to the Steam Deck and external displays. I think a lot of people are missing some crucial elements, things that could help you drastically improve what you're seeing while still maintaining a low resolution, which would give you higher frame rate. Now we're playing here Overwatch 2. This is what you might call a Twitch shooter. You need as much frame rate as possible. Now, the way that I've got it set up here right now is we're in 1280 by 800. So if you were mirroring your deck to your TV or monitor, this is what you would be seeing, 1280 by 800. It's set for 60 hertz because that's as high as my Elgato will capture. So we're going to get 60 frames per second maximum. Now, for most people, 60 frames per second, we want that. As long as we can get 60 locked down, we're good to go. Regardless of our resolution, sometimes we are okay with 60 frames per second. I am going to leave dynamic render scale off. I don't want it interfering with this experiment. I will show you my settings. These are what I use on the Steam Deck OLED for 90 FPS. It drops a little bit into 80s from time to time, but for the most part, these are ideal settings to give me great looking graphics at 800p, 90 frames per second. With that said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what 1280 by 800 looks like on your TV. Let's hop in and do a quick training match. And I want to show you around what the practice range looks like at 1280 by 800. Okay, so take a peek. You can see the text is a little bit fuzzy. You can see that the characters down there are a little bit fuzzy. You can see that the text is a little bit fuzzy, right? So now we're here, and I want you to just kind of look around a little bit. What you're looking at are hard surfaces, hard horizontal and hard vertical surfaces. See how that table is flickering like that? It's all over the place, right? This banding, if you will. The closer you get, it kind of cleans it up because now there's more resolution or more pixels to sort of hide the lower resolution, but you get farther back and the whole thing becomes sort of a blurry mess. Now I'm going to run out here, stand right, yeah, so we have a regular spot, a control spot to look at. Now if we take a look over here, check out the way that this building is banding, right? Firing range is, you can read it, but it's, ew, that's kind of nasty, right? If we look out here to thin pixeled items, these vertical items, we can see that it is definitely taking a really big hit on 800p. Right, so we run up here, you can see that she's very fuzzy. The closer you get, of course, the more pixels are available to help define her. Right, so now we can see her. Go away. All right, same thing over here. All right, and if we got closer to the firing range text, it would also look a lot cleaner because there's more resolution, more pixels to show you that. All right, so this is 800p. This is essentially what the deck is putting out, what it's made to put out. Now let's do a little shake up here, shall we? So right now we're in in-game resolution of 100 or 100%. So what we're seeing right now is the GPU essentially is rendering every frame at 1280 by 800 and popping it in front of you 60 times a second, right? So you're seeing a one-to-one relationship between how the screen was rendered versus how it's displayed. What was rendered is exactly what was displayed. And 1280 by 800, there's not a lot of resolution, right? So at 100%, it's going to look like 1280 by 800. Now you can change the in-game resolution. In order to blatantly show you how this works, I'm going to knock it down to 50. So now it's going to be rendering at what, 640 by 400 and then displaying it for you at 1280 by 800. Now you can imagine this is going to look pretty piss poor, right? Let's take a look. Oh my God, is that even playable? Look at firing range. If you didn't know what that said, that looks like Pang Mang or something, right? Look out there. Look at this building here. It's a complete mess. Everything is a complete mess. Even the flag looks pretty rough. But any of these horizontal surfaces, these vertical surfaces, these straight up lines, look at this. It's all a mess. Because what you're seeing, even though you're in 1280 by 800 resolution, what you're seeing was originally created at 640 by 400. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Shane, hey, wait a minute now. This in-game resolution thing, if we can turn it down, surely we can turn it up. So let's go with 120%. So it's going to render, I don't have the math in front of me, but make it 120% of 1280 and 120% of 800, whatever that turns out to be. That's what it's going to render at. So the GPU renders that frame and then it gets squished down to fit on your 800p display. And you're thinking, well, that's got to look worse, right? Because you're taking something big and making it smaller. Not true. Let's check it out. Hey, this doesn't look too bad. Firing range definitely looks better. This vertical surface looks better over here. This building here looks nice and clean. This building looks clean. Okay, so the verticals are still a little bit nasty, but let's go in here. They're better. I mean, there's no two ways about it. They're better. They're still there, right? They're still there, but they're better. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for better. Now, you'll also notice as I'm running around here that we're still holding 60 frames per second. So literally, we can turn up the internal rendering of this game at 800p to make it look better. So let's continue with this research here. Let's move it to 140. So it's not quite 50% more, it's 40% more, but let's take a look at this. Hey, it's even better now. Look at firing range is almost perfect. Now, depending on how you're looking at this building, it's still a little shaky. I would say we have diminished returns there, but it still returns, right? So as we move up, we're still not, I mean, she's still blurry. But as we get closer, she gets a lot more crisp because she's being rendered at a higher resolution. Think of it as a copier, a photocopier. If you take a really low quality image and you blow it up to a poster, it looks like crap. Conversely, if you take an 8x10 and shrink it to a 5x7 or a 4x3, the picture looks great. It had more data to work with prior to being displayed on the screen. Now, what's our frame rate looking like here? Let me see here. Hang on. Let me get some high frames here. Even like totally looking around, we're still at 60. So if 60 is good, you could be at 140% internal game resolution. Let's take it up to 160. Eventually, it's going to crap out, right? Well, not crap out, but it's going to cost us. All right, so it's still holding up. What do we look like here at this resolution? Things look pretty good. You see, now all of a sudden you can start seeing these. Look over here. You can actually see that there's some sort of ropes or chains or something hanging there. Did you notice that before? Because I certainly didn't. So you can see that it's rendering more even though it's on a smaller screen. Firing range is looking good. Let's run around in here. All right, and we're still holding 60 frames per second. This is, oh, wait a minute. I think we had a little dip there. There we go. Yeah, see, we're starting to dip down, and I guarantee you put a whole bunch of people on the screen and all that. At 160, you're not going to be getting that solid 60. You can already tell that we're dropping down when you get enough elements on the screen. See? You're going to suffer, like Ramattra has suffered. Okay, so just for fun, you're probably saying, well, what's the best it can look? So you got 160. Let's crank that up to as high as it goes. Twice the resolution, okay? So this is 1600p being rendered into the frame buffer. That frame buffer is now being shoved into an 800p screen. It should look great, but we're going to take a huge hit because it can't render that big of a screen fast enough. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Oh my God. Right. It's absolutely terrifying how bad that is. But you can see that those chains are getting a little bit cleaner. These spires here, or whatever, they're still not great, but they're better. And if we look over at firing range, that looks great. I wouldn't play this game at 46 or 45 FPS and get my ass kicked. But you can see that even though we have not increased the resolution, we are increasing how good it can look even on a lower resolution display. Okay, bye, Tracer. Get out of here. All right, just to help remind you, this was 200 you're looking at. We'll take it to the other extreme. Yeah, just to kind of give you a little bit of visual indicator. All right, Shane, show me 100% one more time. Let's see what that looks like. After that 50, this is looking good, right? But you can see it's very difficult to see those chains. I mean, at some point in time, if you turn just right, they just disappear. Because there's no room on 800p to render them. All right, so now let's play with resolution. A lot of people like, oh, I gotta have 1080p, right? I've got a 4K monitor. I want to go all the way up to 4K. Well, listen, it's not going to work out very well for you. Let's go ahead and do 1080p 60, right? So this is as high as my Elgato can capture. I apologize in advance. So I'm going to set it for that. We're going to leave 100% in-game resolution. We're going to hit apply. Well, definitely help the text a little bit. And of course it did, right? I don't want to suggest that 800p and 1080p are exactly the same. They're not. There is considerably more resolution to work with. So it really helps things like text. But if we go back in, okay, 1080p didn't fix the spires. 1080p didn't fix the chains. What does 1080p look like on the firing range? Well, it looks okay, but this should be magical, right? 1080p should be magic compared to 800p, and it's just not. What about our frame rates? Okay, so we're running around here. Frame rate's okay. So this game probably could run at 60 frames per second. Let's go in here where it started to take a hit. Okay, so we can get 60 at 1080p with Overwatch. But now you're talking about using more battery, right? You're talking about using more resources. The deck's going to get hotter, that sort of thing. So is 1080p the greatest solution ever? Now, first off, you couldn't display this on the internal display because it's 800p. But an external screen, is this dramatically better than 800p at 120 or 140? I challenge you to go and test it for yourself. You see all of these horizontals and verticals. It's all still here. So you're saying, Shane, hey, let's go ahead and crank that resolution up, buddy. Let's go to 140. I think that's where we found that 140 was acceptable at 800p. Look at that. It's nowhere near acceptable. 46. You see the difference here? We're trading rendering quality for resolution. And I guarantee you on an 800p screen, the image rendering quality is going to win over the resolution. And see, this looks great. But are you playing it like this? No. And you know what? Even so, you don't really see those chains back there. I mean, it's a diminishing increase in quality. Now, if we go over here and look at Tracer, does she look tons better at 1080p? No. Honestly, she doesn't. Not even at this rendering. Now, see, now she looks good when we get close up. We got more rendering resolution, and we've got more pixels to work with. So yeah, of course it's going to look good, but nobody's playing this at 46 FPS. So let's go ahead. I know what you're thinking, Shane. Let us see 120. Come on. Don't be like that. Okay. All right. So can we maintain the frame rate at this? No, we're in the 50s. Yeah, it's taking a hit. We can't increase our render resolution. So what we've got is what we got, which is what you're seeing here. Let's go back. Nope, not leaving. So, once again, I challenge. Is 1080p worth it? A lot of people complain about the Steam Deck only doing 800p while the ROG Ally does 1080p. Remember, the higher the resolution, the more internal rendering resolution, the more battery you're going to use, right? Now, of course, if you're plugged in, who cares? But my point is, now imagine going up to 4K. We're barely holding this frame rate. Let me go in here. We're holding 60 at 1080p with a frame rate of 60 FPS, and it looks like it's pretty hard fast. Not going to happen to 4K. Maybe you can turn down the rendering resolution. What does this look like? What does 1080p, the great 1080p, look like at 50? So we can get that frame rate back up. Does it look considerably better than 800p? No, but it's still costing you. It's costing you to run at 1080p when you could be running at 800p and rendering at a higher resolution internally before the frame is displayed. All right, well, listen, I hope you enjoyed this look at external versus internal resolution. Now, maybe you can start making some of your own games look better in 800p. You don't have to have that FOMO of 1080p anymore. Is 1080p better? Yeah. But is it better enough? All right, I'm Shane R. Monroe. Thanks so much for watching. Please, if you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, hit the bell. It means a lot to have your comments. I try to read every single one of them. I may not respond to them all, but I do read them. I'm Shane R. Monroe. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. We'll see you next time.